Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it off for 30 plus years. But there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and in your weight maintenance. Today we're going to complete the Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior series. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, especially from the psychological point of view, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my website, Naturopathic Earth, which has tons of articles and recipes, my podcast, The Awakened Man, which has about 390 as of today, my 2 books, and if you really appreciate my content, please post a donation via PayPal. So we've come to the ultimate episode of Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior, which essentially chronicles my adult life from when I lost my weight in 1991 to today, which is about 31 and a half years. And I wanted to do an ultimate final episode to kind of like sum up what I learned in the last 31 plus years. And of course, I recommend that this series, along with Confessions of an Obese Child, which was my childhood obesity series, you watch in order. Just watch the playlist in order because it kind of makes sense. If you listen to the early Reflections episodes, there's a lot of panic. I mean, I wouldn't say panic in my voice. Oh God, warm tea tastes so good. But there's panic in my early weight loss years, understandably so, that I'm going to gain the weight back. So I'm really engaged in very disordered eating, binging on the weekend, starving during the week, and I did this for all of my college years. And a lot of that's just fueled by, oh my God, I'm actually interacting with women. Oh my God, I actually can hang out with people and they don't think that I'm a horrible fat piece of crap, which was what I was taught when I was fat. So though I did have the ancillary benefits of being accepted by people, still inside I felt like a fat kid. And you see that played out in the episodes with my panic attacks and imposter syndrome and some other things like that. And then you see toward the ultimate final episodes, especially when I discovered the paleo kind of mindset and fasting, which I've done now for 8 years, there came like a normalization. So now, I mean, you could argue 31 years is a long time. And I would say I got to this, before 31 years, probably around 2015, 2016. 25 years is a long time to get to this point of normalization, but I am at this point of normalization. And I think, how can you get to a point of normalization? And what do I mean by normalization? Not having a disordered relationship with food. I've mentioned it many times. You put food in front of a 4-year-old when they're hungry, they'll just eat till they're not hungry. They don't eat until they're full. So how do you get to that point of view? Well, I think it took a couple things. Therapy, a lot of introspection, starting the Confessions blog on Naturopathic Earth back in 2017, I think helped. Daily blogging helped. Talking about it, interviewing people, which I did on the Confessions podcast series back in the 2018, 2019, I think helped. Having people in my life that I could talk to, just being a naturally analytical person, I think helped. And then age, wisdom, kind of being a warrior through all these things and coming out of the other side and just being close to 50 years old now and looking back at the accomplishment. And some days, and I mentioned in the early reflection series, how May 4th is the anniversary of my weight loss. And for the first 10 years of the post-weight loss, it was a very solemn day. It was like a second birthday, but it was always like a solemn day. Like I wanted to be alone on that day. Of course, I'd work out and so forth on that day, but it was very solemn. And then looking back, I don't know why it was solemn. It should be a festive day, a jovial day, a day that we are convivial. I should be celebrating. But for some reason, I don't know, I was always like wistful and sad. Not that I was no longer fat. I don't know. It was a strange thing. But now with 30 years behind, and I think a lot of the pressure to be regular weighted has abated simply because I'm close to 50. And in your 20s, I think, especially after you were invisible and or always ridiculed and invisible to the opposite sex, and you lose the weight, in those 20s, you want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to have a normal life. And then when you're around 50, you're like, okay, well, I've done those things. I have kids. I have the episode on the kids, on child support. Now it's just like, well, I want to do the best that I can, and age well, and not so much pressure's on me because I'm 50. And it is an accomplishment, and I forget that. And I have to remember there's a lot of obese people who wish they were in my situation, that lost the weight and have kept it off, or people that lost a lot of weight and gained it back. So this is one of the reasons why I created this channel in September of 2022, is because I want to help people and give advice to people and help them understand that. Because I've had friends who be like, why are you talking about your suicidal ideation when you were fat? Why are you talking about all these things that are embarrassing? Or if I tell my family about it's embarrassing, I'm like, well, because you're missing the point. The point is, I went through things that a lot of people are going through right now or have gone through, and my weakest points or my strongest points can serve as a light, like a lighthouse to a stormy ship in the ocean. And other people who are going through it can hear and relate to not all these stories for sure, but some of these stories, and understand that they're not alone, and that if someone else went through it and got through it, that they can get through it too. So I don't mind. I don't sacrifice the embarrassment of admitting that I was a binge eater. I don't care. I don't care what people think in that regard. I want to give an earnest portrayal of what I've gone through for the last 50 years of my life, when I was a fat kid and then when I lost the weight, foibles and all. So if you got anything out of the confession series and the reflection series, I'm glad. I mean, that was the whole point of it. And I know these channels, or I'm sorry, these episodes, they don't get as many views as the main ones. It doesn't matter. I mean, if any of these episodes help one person, then I'm happy with that. Now, at the end of the reflection series, I'm going to start a new series of either 15 to 20 foods or items that I do daily that help me with weight loss or weight maintenance, and maybe that's a series that you might also find to be useful as well. But post in the comments. I love to hear from you. Essentially, in closing, the binging is gone. The weight dysmorphia is gone. I run without my shirt. I go to the pool without my shirt. As I've admitted before, I know my body's not perfect, but there's a lot of body acceptance now, because it's better than, honestly, a lot of 48-year-olds who are never fat. And I've kind of gone to a normalization with my eating. That's not to say I never stress eat or anything like that, but that's to say that I have with all the experience I have enough safeguards and mechanisms in place to catch if I ever go down that road. And would I ever gain all my weight back? Who's to say? I could be in a horrific car accident and never be able to walk again. So I'm not going to have the sin of pride and to say that I will never gain it weight. All I can say is I kept it off for 31 and a half years, and that's a humongous accomplishment, and whatever God has in store for me, I will submit to His will. Guys, post in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.